gives me great pleasure to welcome you here to this beautiful spot on a beautiful August day here in the Scottish borders. And we're here to mark the 153rd anniversary of the birth of our border poet, Will H. Ogilvie. And when I bid you all welcome, forgive me if I give a special welcome to two of our guests. First of all, to Mrs Rosemary Jeffreys, the granddaughter of the poet, who's come to join us today. And secondly, to the Kelso Laddie, Callum Davidson, who has waited a long time because of COVID for his year as laddie, but has carried out all his duties as always to the highest standards and comes to join us today. And can I also pay words of thanks to the Walker family from Holefield Farm behind us for their continuing support to this monument on their ground, and secondly to George Halliday, one of the ex-laddies who has taken it upon himself to maintain the stone, the surroundings, and keeps it looking spick and span. And indeed, when I came out last night, just for a wee sly check, just to make sure everything was okay, here was George busy putting finishing touches, slapping paint onto the fences, and it makes the place just look all that more special. Our ceremony today seeks to mark and recognise the work of Will H. Ogilvie, the border poet, and to help keeping it alive. And over the course of our ceremony, I'm going to tell you about two initiatives that have been ongoing over the last year, which also, in their way, work to keep his memory going. First of all, Wellroad Productions have been involved in a musical project associated with Ogilvie's poetry. For some time, we have felt that many of Ogilvie's poems would make great songs. And during lockdown, in the enforced quiet of lockdown, we put that idea into practice. And we pay tribute to Norrie Fraser there, using his other talents with the television camera today. He was instrumental in turning that idea into reality. He selected a variety of Ogilvie's poems to demonstrate the breadth and depth and variety of the poet's work. And he commissioned a well-known folk singer, Mr. Ian Bruce, to not only to compose the music, but then to perform the songs and to record them on a CD. And the CD will be available at the end of our ceremony, but is also being formally launched in that great centre of civilization, Eckford Village Hall, tonight. But today, we are privileged that Ian has come to join us for our ceremony, and to start the ceremony, he's going to sing one of the songs from the CD, and it's a great favourite, and it is The Comfort of the Hills. Mr. Bruce.
On the road up from England as I've been today, I've been practising the words, but I haven't been practising them long enough, so they're still in front of me, excuse me. So anyway. Heart of you, sorrow, take it to the hills. Lay it where the sun shines, cups of colour spill. Hide it in the shadow of the folding fern. Bathe it in the coolness of the brown hill barn. Give it to the west wind blowing where it wills. Heart of you with sorrow, take it to the hills. Heart of you with sorrow, take it to the hills. silence and love the loneliness fills. Bury it in bracken, waving green and high, or it led the heather's peaceful purple light. Trusted to the healing heaven itself distills. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills. Trust it to the healing heaven itself distills. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills.
There we are. It's a beautiful poem, and it makes a beautiful song as well.
Beautifully sung.
Will H. Ogilvie was born in that very house in 1869, and he grew up there. And the family, the Ogilvie family, though they lived in Sprouston Parish, worshipped in Kelso. And every Sunday, the family would get on a horse and carriage and head into Kelso to go to church. And passing on the way, as most of you would have done today, making your way out here, Crailing House Toll. The site, of course, it was a toll gate on a turnpike road. The site of the toll is all but gone now. There's only a few ruins left. But Ogilvie immortalised it in his poem, which Davy Grant is going to come forward and recite for us now. Crooked House Toll.
The proud years have passed it and left it alone, no more with red blossoms its gables are gay, with moss-covered thatch and with mouldering stone. The rose that once wrapped it has withered away. No longer the gate to a challenge is swung, nor through it the old-fashioned chariots roll, but I can remember the sixpennies flung when we came at a canter through the Crooked House Toll. A little old woman, all wrinkled and brown, like a russet red pippin left long in the tree, would stand by the gate in her clean-gotten gown, and bob to her elders, and smile upon me. 'Tis long since the lady relinquished her trust, but I can still picture on memory's scroll the quaint little figure that stooped in the dust to pick up our silver at Crooked House Toll. When the moon's very round and the night's very still, and the cottage is guest room to goblin and gnome, if you stand on the highway and look to the hill, you will see the brown horses come covered in foam. You will hear the light tap of each foot as it falls, and the chink of the chains to the swing of the fall, and see a white figure glide out from the walls to open the gate at the Crooked House Toll.
Ogilvie, as we all know, knew the borders well, and he knew the border people well, especially the country folk, and he wrote about them throughout his life. And one example of that, which sums up the border people and their great skills, will be recited now by Ronnie Fleming. It's set somewhere in the western borders, precisely where, I don't know, but it's called The Shepherd.
Before I start, can I take the opportunity to wish Jim and Irene a speedy recovery. Of course, they would have been here today, and unfortunately they're both laid low with COVID. I hope they get over it soon. When Will Ogilvie never forgot Holefield and the surrounding area. When he was in Australia, he often thought about his favourite burn, and he wrote these verses. Beaumont Water. Sorry, I'm not doing Beaumont Water, am I? I'm doing the Shepherd.
His other favourite.
As you were, can you cut that, Norrie?
We'll edit it, don't worry.
He had great sympathy and respect for the herds who tended their flocks in the hills with their dogs. And as Charlie said, he wrote the Shepherd. Keen blows the wind over Braddock, as close as my warm plaid blown. It's a guy but step on the hirsel, frae the Hawk to the hilltop crown. But there's lift in the heart of the heather, there's wine in the wind from the sea, and up over the shoulder of Braddock, light tramping for Laddie. Bordering the burn with their silver, the swords of the fairies are bright, hiding the grips in the hollows, the snow wreaths lie crested and white. Near all of the flock is beneath us, laid close in the lap of the lea. But there's aye a few wandering wastrels make labour for Laddie and me. The bent is all withered and yellow, the bracken all twisted and bowed. There's never a bee on the heather, or a bird between me and the cloud. The west wind rides over the moorland with ice-wetted lance at his knee. He has never a foeman on Braddock, unless it be Laddie and me. The shadows sweep up from the valley, the dark ripples down from the hill. At the bend of the gate is a cottage, and a candle burns bright on the sill. Now the snowflakes may break from the purple, the snow clouds roll up from the sea, for the yows are all bunnily builded, and home beckons Laddie and me. There are roads that are smoother to travel, I grant you, but go where I will, there is never a pathway that calls us, like this that leads over the hill. When the west wind comes up from the Solway, in the sleety chain mail of the sea, to trample the bracken on Braddock, and wrestle with Laddie and me.
Well, Ronnie was always ahead of the game, apparently even true when he was a rugby player. Is that not right,
no.
Packy? You know, he was always there. And what he was talking about before anticipates the poem that's coming next. Because we know that Ogilvie spent time in Australia, more than 10 years, and that he loved his time there. It was a great adventure for a young man. And he loved the life, and he wrote extensively about the Australian outback. However, from time to time, he did think of home and experienced all the longings of an exile. And this is so memorably expressed in this lovely poem that describes that wee burn or river not that far away from here, Beaumont Water.
Oh, we think we're happy roving, but the stars that crown the night, they're only hours for living when the moon is lost to sight. And my hopes are fleeting forward with the ships that sail the sea, and my eyes are to the northward, as an exile's well may be. And my heart a shrine has sought her, that will last her little day, at the foot of Beaumont Water, far away. Oh, it's fair in summer weather, when the red sun, dropping low, sets a lustre on the heather, and the Cheviot peaks aglow. When the hare comes down the meadows, in the gloaming clear and still, and the flirting lights and shadows play at Heidi's on the hill. When the wild duck's mate has sought her, and the speckled hill trout play, at the foot of Beaumont Water, Bowmont water, far away. Oh, it's fair in summer weather, when the red sun dropping low. It's grand when winter's creeping, and the rime is on the trees, and the giant hills are sleeping, with the grey clouds on her knees. When autumn days are ended, and the glens are deep with snow, and the grips are dark and splendid, where the mountain eagles go, then the strath is a king's daughter, in her purple robes and grey, at the foot of Bowmont water, far away. We have wandered down the valley in the days of buried time, seen the foxgloves dip and dally, heard the fairy bluebells chime, seen the briar roses quiver when the west wind crossed the dell, heard the music of the river and the tale it had to tell, where melody love taught her as the laverock's only lay, at the foot of Bowmont water, far away. I have tried the spots in order, where the brightest sunbeams fall, but the land upon the border is my own land after all, and I would not take the glory of the whole world's golden sheen for the white mist down the corrie and the naked scars between. And my heart a shrine has sought her that will last her little day, at the foot of Bowmont water, far away.
What a great poem that is, and I'm betraying no secrets if I say that it makes a great song as well. And if you have a couple of hours to spare, if you come to Eckford Village Hall tonight, you'll hear it being sung for the first time. Ogilvie wrote extensively throughout his long life, but by no means all of his poems were published in book form. Other works were published in newspapers or in magazines, and some were just given to friends as keepsakes. But thanks to extensive research, and when I say extensive, I mean extensive, firstly by Anne Holt, who is the secretary of the Will H. Ogilvie Memorial Trust in this country, and an Australian friend, Warwick Jacks, a collection of his unpublished poems was made, and it was extensive. And last year, the Will H. Ogilvie Memorial Trust produced this handsome book called Bellelay and Beyond, and that contains more than 250 of Ogilvie's poems that hitherto were unpublished. Now, if you're sitting there saying, oh, I wouldn't mind a read at that, unfortunately, it's already sold out. So if you have a copy, it's an heirloom that's going to only gather value later on. But I'm going to ask David Grant now to come forward and to recite one of the poems from the book, and it's one that probably has never been heard before by this company and by not many other people. It's called The Song of the Scottish Borders. David.
This is the land of clean winds blowing from the white-capped Solway sea, of wide full pastures fenced with stone, of fields of fallow and lea, of curlews crying above the moss where the wild black faces roam, of rivers leaping the calds across in cloaks of snow-white foam. This is the realm of border raids and hoof tracks over the hill, the rusted helms, the broken blades you may dig from the peat moss still. You may find the trace of a southbound road in the dip of a drowsy glen, and the fires in their grandsires' veins that flowed you will find in our border men. This is the land where sweet notes throng like seagulls over the sea, the sovereign land of ancient song and age-old balladry, the home of Hogg and the home of Scott, and of many a minstrel king, of names that are dear in every cot and in every palace ring. There may be a region fairer yet, with hills and vales more fine, but never a spot in this empire set so girded with song as mine. Trite is the tribute of praise one brings, but the songs of the past still stand, and still ye may wake on their worn old strings the harps of the borderland.
Thank you, David. A poem that may well become a party piece from now on. We're now going to lay 2 flower wreaths, which we have done traditionally since this stone was first established. One of them has got the bright oranges and golds and green of Australia and symbolises Ogilvie's time there. And I would like to ask Mrs Rosemary Jeffreys if she'll step forward and lay it on the stage. The second flower wreath is made up of heather and bracken that I picked in Cheviot just yesterday, and some other local wildflowers, including the bluebell, the Scots bluebell, which Ogilvie wrote about so beautifully. And I'm going to ask the Kelso Laddie, Callum Davidson, to come forward and lay that wreath on the cairn. Ogilvie loved his homeland, and he had strong ties with it, which is reflected throughout his poetry. He loved this land, and the love is reflected in this area today in the Kelso Laddies and in Civic Week and in all the activities where the Laddies Association and the Ex-Laddies Association give so much time to demonstrate their love of their land, their homeland. And it's appropriate then to finish our ceremony to ask Ian Bruce to lead us in the singing of one more song. Now, Ian was saying that he's not just absolutely 100% with the words, so he's got them on his little machine, but I could have told him if he had just looked round, he would have found the words in big writing right behind him. Because the song we are going to sing, and it has a chorus, so I hope we'll all sing it, is that magnificent Hymn to the Borders, the land we love.
Which do I choose? If you feel compelled to sing what we call the chorus, please don't hold back. Just a line of blue hills to remember, just a valley one fails to forget, weather bound where the gold of September, where the jewels of midsummer set. Just a fringe of dark woodland and coppice, just a ribbon of river and stream, for a hem to the cornfields whose poppies burn, soft as a rose in a dream. There's a spell in this land of the marshes, in this border that gave us a love, in this spot where the heavens' white arches spread blue o'er the best of the air. Just a sweep of marsh, moorland and heather, just a brae where the black faces climb, just a loch where the grey gulls forgather, and the burns out of Cheviot chime. Just a glen where the wild duck and pheasant find a sheltering nook from the blast. Just a peel tower that stoops to the present, with the legend and lore of the past. There's a spell in this land of the marches, in this borderland gave us our birth, in this spot where the heavens wide arches spread blue o'er the best of the air. Just a navvy that ruined and hoary, and ragged with the rain of the years, tells a mystic and marvellous story that breaks on the silence like tears. Just a fortress, perhaps, or a fastness, just a bridge or a grave or a stone that has saved from time's infinite vastness some tale half as old as time's own. There's a spell in this land of the marches, in this borderland gave us our birth, in this spot where the heavens wide arches spread blue o'er the best of the air. To the shrine where the hearts keep returning, wherever our feet may be led, all our love on that altar lies burning, all our song wreaths around it are spread. There's a spell in this land of the marches, and there's borderland gave us our birth, in this spot where the heavens wide arches spread for the best of the air. One more time. There's a spell in this land of the marches, and there's borderland gave us our birth, and this spot where the heavens wide arches spread blue o'er the best of the air, spread blue o'er the best of the air.
I hope that becomes a song that is used throughout the borders as, in effect, our anthem. There will be, as Bill McLaren used to say, a brief stoppage while we issue you with a drink, and then we'll drink a toast to the health of this man's memory. But let's just get your glasses charged first. Getting a CD, or if you want some of the Well Road Productions booklets, or indeed Anne Holt tells me there are in fact some copies of Billeley and Beyond still available, if you speak to Anne about that, so that we can carry on the work of spreading the word of this great poet. But in the meantime, can I ask you all to drink a toast to Will H. Ogilvie, the poet of the borders. Okay.
Come on, Charlie.
Charlie, yeah.
Well, we finished that only 5 minutes late. You see, I didn't talk up and down.
That'll be a first.
Yes.
Now, Eric, between you and Scott, the sign board will be
They're sitting in Scott's garage across the Scott. But he's waiting on...
garage?
No,
Where's garage?
no,
Right there?
they're waiting on something going on here. That's it, isn't it? Yes.
Mr. Paxton is going.
Because yes. Aye, but there was in terms of a lip to put it to hold it on. After minutes of it, Charlie, it said we've got to put that wee ring round it. Correct. Yeah. And that was meant to be done how many years ago now? Lasted well, mind you.
Well,
Looks I love it on the stage, it's just really is. Stephen and Sunset. The grey had gone. Aye. Right, it was just perfect. Community. Brilliant. Absolutely superb.
well, yes, you're right. We didn't have a painting.
Aye, when they didn't have that.
In the middle of Eckford there's a major traffic jam, and here in the hall we've got a great crowd, and it's so good to see that back again, because we've had this hiatus with COVID and everything else, and this is us getting back up on our feet and getting started, and that's just wonderful. And isn't the old place looking well with the flowers and the tablecloths and everything? It's just absolutely lovely. So, welcome to you all. Welcome here to Eckford. Just to confirm for you, you know, the seating is fairly informal. If you want to join up tables, then that's fine. If you want to put an extra chair in one of these areas, that's fine. At the interval time, there will be snacks served for you, and I hope you enjoy them. Anybody who is new to Eckford Village Hall, ladies' toilets are through here on this side, and the gents' toilets are on my right hand side there as well. Now, we're certainly not intending this to happen, but should there be a fire in the village hall, well, you know the exit there is the door that you came in, and there's also a fire exit at the back. And you know, try and keep up with me when we're going out. Just a wee bit of background to tonight. You'll remember, many of you are loyal supporters of us, what we used to do as Well Road Productions. We put on a series of shows incorporating poetry, music by Ian Lothian, and telling the story of aspects of the borders. And of course, following COVID, it wasn't possible to keep going with that. But we didn't do nothing during lockdown. We followed up 2 initiatives. And the first one was that we decided to print the scripts of our previous shows, or well, we planned to print the scripts of our previous shows. We've managed to get 2 of them done so far, the first 2. There'll be another 4 will follow in due course. And one of the things we're doing, that includes sheet music from Ian Lothian's compositions. And one of the things we'll do with these is we'll put copies into local schools in the hope that they'll be used as teaching aids. But the second thing we did was we decided on a musical initiative. And all the time we were going round the various village halls and hearing Ogilvie's poems recited, you know, in discussion we said, you know, some of these would make great songs. You know, if they were put to music, they would work well. And previously, one or two of the songs have been put to music by individuals, but nobody ever tried to do an initiative with a number of them. And the inspiration for this really came from the man who's trying to hide behind the TV camera there, Norrie Fraser, who was the musical one, and he made a selection of Ogilvie poems that he thought would be the best songs. And then, rather than us try to do it, doing other things, we had a new initiative, and we said, we're going to go for this and try and do it on the gold standard, and not just make it good, but make it really good. And that was where we went to this gentleman, Ian Bruce, well-known folk singer, and commissioned him to compose the music, to put the songs to music. And not only did he put them to music, but then he performed them, he recorded them, and with some other friends accompanying him, he produced the CD that we're talking about, The Land We Love. Ian was instrumental in producing that. There are 18 songs on the CD, and this is them being launched tonight. This here in Eckford Village Hall, the centre of the universe, is the place that these songs are getting their first public performance. Now, as well as Ian's songs, we're going to be assisted by somebody else who's no stranger to Eckford Village Hall, Kathy Hobkirk, who's come across from Hoyk, and she's going to sing a couple of songs for us as well, illustrating, again, Ogilvie songs, illustrating unaccompanied singing. And of course, we couldn't possibly have a performance without our own loyal performers, Ronnie Fleming and David Grant, who will be showing the power of recited poetry to you as well. There's two folk missing tonight, unfortunately, Jim and Irene Chisholm, who have been struck down by the dreaded COVID. It still isn't going away, and they, desperate as they were to come and recite for us tonight, they're just not able to do so. The whole idea of tonight is to demonstrate the breadth and the depth and the relevance and the versatility of Ogilvie's work. I'm not going to introduce every song. The thing will be able to run itself once it's started. And to start our night, I'm going to ask Ronnie Fleming to come out and deal the old favourite, Moment Water.
Well, for those of you who know me, can I just put your minds at rest? It says on the programme, the song Ronnie Fleming. I can sing absolutely anything, so at this point, if you wanted to hear me singing, you would all hear me. Anyway, Ian's going to be doing the singing. Oh, we think we're happy roving, but the stars that crown the night, they are only ours for loving when the moon is lost to sight. And my hopes are fleeting forward with the ships that sail the sea, and my eyes are to the northward, as an exile's well may be.
And my heart is shine and sword, where the lights and shadows play, at the foot of Moment Water far away. Oh, it's been summer weather when the red sun dropping low sets a lustre on the heather and the chevious peaks aglow. When the hares come down the meadows in the glowing clear and still, and the flirting lights and shadows play at highways on the hill. When the wild ducks mate a sorter and the speckled hill trout play at the foot of Moment Water far away. Feel free to join in if you know any of these lines. grand when winter's creeping and the rainbow's on the trees, and the giant hills are sleeping with the great clouds on their knees, when the autumn days are ended and the glens are deep with snow, and the cliffs are dark and splendid where the mountain peaks go. Then the strategy king's daughter in her purple rose and grey, and the foot of home and water far away. We have wandered down the valley in the days of buried time, seen the foxgloves dip and dally, heard the fading bells chime, seen the briar roses quiver when a west wind crossed the dell, heard the music of the river and the tale it had to tell, where the melody love taught her is the landlord's only lay, and the foot of home and water far away. I have tried this once in order where the brightest sunbeams fall, but the land upon the border is my own land after all, and I would not take the glory of the whole world's golden streams. It's like golden sheep, you don't want to read them. For whiteness down in the corrie and the naked scorpion tree. My heart is aching, the heart's laughing, my heart is shrine has sworn that will last a little day, and the fruit of home and water far away. I think we just carry on with the next song. There's nobody introducing these, so I'll introduce it. This is probably my favourite song from the album, and I suppose I've got to apologise a wee bit because these songs sound at the best when I've got Ian Lothian and the fiddlers with me as well, so you've got just me on your own, and I apologise for not having learned all, but thank you. Learning all the lyrics. I will be learning them. I was doing a festival yesterday and I was on stage and saying, trust me, it's an album you will like. Buy one. So, anyway, so here's one of my favourites from it. Oh, Gesundheit. People are allergic to me already. So, okay, I love this song. The brown buns of the border, they hasten down the vale and shallows through the sunrise. In space before the gale, grey dawn and rosy sunset, lying gathered in their breast, who call us forth to labour and lead us home to rest. They cool our needy cattle, they turn our drowsy mouths, they bring to us the music of blue eternal hills, and they count their crumbling arches, and they tell our lichened towers, and wait with soft resistance some ancient way to love. Sleep with the scent of the river, hear from the clasp of feet, they dance to please our children against their rosy feet. They guide our youths and maidens when love has been their road. They lead our tired fathers along the last road home. For thought of Wednesday gathered, for love of where they went, for pride of loves they cherish, and meals that they render, when all sounds else are silent, when all songs else depart, brown hills over the borders shall sing in my heart. Sing, sing, sing within my heart.
verse is based on the exploits of Reaver Old Wat of Harden. It's taken from the ballad What of the Reed. Ho for the blades of Harden, ho for the driven kye, the broken gate and the lance's hate, and a banner red in the sky. The rough road runs by the carter, the white foam creams on the rain. Ho for the blades of Harden, there will be moonlight again. The dark has hired them gather, the dawn has bowed them by. To the guard on the roof comes the drum of a hoof, and the drone of a hoof's reply. There are more than birds on the hill tonight, and more than winds on the plain. The threat of the Scots has filled the moss, there will be moonlight again. Ho for the blades of Harden, ho for the ring of steel, the stolen steers of 100 years come home for a kirkup meal. The ride must risk its fortune, the raid must count its slain, the march must feed her ravens, there will be moonlight again. Ho for the blades of Harden, ho for the pikes that cross, ho for the king of lance and ling, a Scot on the Ettrick moss. The rough road runs by the carter, the white foam creams on the rain. And aye for the blades of Harden, there will be moonlight again.
The hill road to Robertson, nail water at her feet, and grey hills and blue hills that melt away in heat, with cotton flowers that wave to us and lone walks that call, and all along the wilderness the sun is over all. When Scotland married England long, long ago, the winds spun away and veil on moonlight and snow. I made a filmy silver with sun and rain and kiss, and she lifted to the water and I saw her face. And now the dreaming distance doth wear it like a bride, out beyond the Langhold burn and over Essenside, by Warwick was in red with green and on to Wild the Blue, and up to Ettrick water till it fades into. That was a chorus I loved. When Scotland married England long, long ago, when the moon spun away in veil of moonlight and snow, I made a film in silver with sun and rain and kiss, and she lifted to the border and I saw her face. Guitar's slightly out of tune, so if you just sing louder, you're alright. I'll just put it right. It's not. Hang on a sec. Don't go away. See, I've got a tuner there, but it's a battery that Norrie gave me, so it's really not quite right. Maybe a flat battery.
Bad workman blames his tools.
Shut your face. I hate an out-tune guitar. There we go, try that. A distant glint of silver that heals passing by, and great roar and windmere against the purple sky. The long line of Carter, Teviotdale from the light, and a slight star in the heather, a wind from the English side. When Scotland married England long, long ago, the wind spun away in veil of moonlight and snow. I veil filled with silver that sun and rain kissed, and she left it to the border and I saw her face. Still out of tune, never mind, we don't care, do we? Can we change that video at the end of the night? The hill road to Robertson's a steep road to climb, but where your foot is crushed and you can smell the scent in time, and if your heart's a warmer that would down to Hammond Glen, and hear the blue David isn't it?
No, it's you, I think.
It's me.
Aye.
Ettrick.
Oh, Ettrick, it's me again. Sorry. I knew that. Well, I did say that Brown Burns was one of my favourites, but I forgot about this one. Okay. Wild Ettrick, love it. Excuse me, sorry, I'm just trying to get this to behave. Right. Wild Ettrick. I really do like this song. I've not got a chorus on it, so you can rest with this one. Wild Ettrick, your blue water gleams, and as a look love that right through my dreams. The heats at your stir, the brooms at your knee, you sing in your saddle a love song to me. You led me long ways apart. In long days you told me things deep to my heart. In grief time and silence, the haunting refrain, and you murmur them over and over again. Wild Ettrick, love greater and blue. I swing me to saddle and take me with you to glens of remembrance, hills of desire. The stars over Carco, the moon on Swire. Stars over Carco, the moon on the Swire.
This is Cocklerfoot, and this is written in America. Will Ogilvie saw the name in a Scottish paper and he wrote this poem. What's in a name? Well, the world knows best. But I stand by the moment, east and west. The mist in the valley hangs white and low, and the hills up above are a dim grey row. The folds in my plaid grow cold and wet, when suddenly, back like a slow-drawn net, the mists are drawn up the hillside steep till the boulders show, and the white-backed sheep come one by one into open view. Then the heather glints, then a peak breaks through, another, and each one higher, till out of the vale leaps a disc of fire, and the sun on the shoulder of Grubbit burns, and the Cheviot wakes, and the day returns.
Charlie selected this poem from for something else we did from Ogilvie's the last book that was published from Whaley and beyond, and it kind of brought back childhood memories long time ago when I seem to remember the long hot summers and the ewes and lambs were brought in and the lambs were shed off and went away to pasture new, and the ewes were kept in for a night or so, and it seemed that there was no sleep for a couple of nights because I think the house was just about 20 yards from the sheepfold, so it brought back a few memories. It's called The Spaining. From Essenside to Huntly, from Peel to Hartwood Myers. The goddess of the hillside has lit her purple fires. By Deloran and Singley, by Shaws and Giddy's Green, the bracken paths are golden, where fairy feet have been. The glens are gilt with glory, the heights are crowned with pride, where nature's bonniest garland lies round the green hillside. And here should be contentment, and here no room for care, where swing the pink white torches from Gilman's Cleuch to Gare. But grief rides out on Ettrick, and sorrow roams by ale. From every misty hirsel the winds bring back their wail. Where here the bleating chariots run blindly down the burn, and there the lone black faces go crying through the fern. Behind the clamouring hirsels, beyond the flock's unrest, the sorrow of the border lies hid within her breast. Given to us wind to carry, no wind of all the four, the grief of the grey mothers whose sons come back no more.
What?
Nothing. Carry on.
No. You never ken quite what he's going to say. I think he's behaving himself.
I'm going to behave myself.
Just for a change.
For a wee change.
No, you're not. Okay, that'll go last. A bit of myself. This is the Wind of Autumn in 2019, which was the 150th anniversary of Will's birth. I got involved and put a tune to this poem that I was quite taken with. Charlie was talking about the relevance still of Will Ogilvie, and I was listening to a report on the radio this morning or the day before saying that because the weather's changing, you're getting what they call a false autumn, and leaves are turning and things are, it's which I'm sure you'll have noticed. But this is the Wind of Autumn. Words Will Ogilvie tune me, so I'll have to take the blame for it. I am the wind of autumn, from fields afar I roam. I drive the sheaves of harvest, I blow the swallows home. I fling to earth the apples, I set the gleaners free. I twine a wreath of scarlet around a rowan tree. I break the withered branches and strew them in the glen to fill the hands of children and warm the hearts of men. I bear the wildfowl seaward, I pass the mother call, when the far scattered coveys close in at evenfall. I kiss the rain-wet roses, I lift the tired leaves down, I toss the silver seagulls behind the furrows brown. I am the wind of autumn, I bid the bluebells ring to speed the ships of summer.
this is the song which is going to bring the first half to a close, and after that you're free to enjoy yourselves a little while. But this is a song called A Scotch Night, which is a bit of a silly song, to be honest. And there's a line at the end of each verse which frankly is quite difficult to sing, and this is the first outing it's had, so I will definitely get tongue-tied. So we're going to ask you to repeat it after me, just to prove I'm not the only idiot in the hall. Okay, is that okay? So, A Scotch Night. You might know the poem already, I don't know. Good luck, Ian, with this one. Good luck you as well. If you chance upon a gathering of half a dozen friends, when the drink is Highland whiskey or some chosen Northern blends, and the room is full of steering and the grabbing of brown hands, and the talk is all of taverns and of plays and of clans, when you can take the grouse piece and you can judge it going right. For you've had the luck to stumble on a wee Scotch night. That's the easy one, come on. For you've had the luck to stumble on a wee Scotch night. Ah, not bad. When you, oh, I keep forgetting to press this wee arrow, excuse me, this technology. When you're pitchforked in among them in a sweet and sort of way, as a dour man and brother from the tweed or from the tea. When you're taken by the youngster and you're counting to a cheer, while someone slips a whiskey and you tumble unaware, then the present seems less dismal and the future bearing breath. Good luck with this one. For you struck your grandest treasuries against Scotch Night. Where you go? For you struck your grandest treasuries against Scotch Night. Well done, you were brilliant. When you hear a shouting shouted and the singing shouted back, then you think in the confusion that they've all been christened back. When you see your red beard flashing in the corner by the fire, and a giant on the sofa is 6 feet 3 or higher, before you guess the colours and before you gauge the height, you'll have jumped to the conclusion it's a raw Scotch night. You'll have jumped to the conclusion it's a raw Scotch night. Oh, fantastic. You should have been on the album. We could have done you all. When the red man in the corner leads his strong voice to the proof, and he gives them 100 papers and the chorus splits the roof. When a chill sings Annie Laurie, there's 10 bells sweet refrain, till the tears are in the eyelids and the drinks come round again, when they chant the stunning war song that went back in your fight. Then you're fairly in the middle of a wee Scotch night. Then you're fairly in the middle of a wee Scotch night. Oh, we're getting it now. There's only 2 more to go. When the plot begins to thicken and the band begins to play, and everything what you has a word or two to say. When you sell a Queensland station or a sprig of native heath, when there's one mic on the table and a couple underneath, when half of them are sleeping and the whole of them are tight, you will know that you're assisting in a Scotch night. Then you'll know that you're assisting in a Scotch night. You missed out the hiccup. You want to already go to that one? What? Then you'll know that you're assisting in a Scotch night. Then you know that you're assisting in a Scotch night. Yeah, very good. It sounded more like you were being sick, but that's alright. Last verse. So you all ready? There's going to be some outro to this first half. You're going to get up and tell them what to do in a minute. Charlie, are you going to be coming up after me to finish the night off? Do that first half off. He doesn't know yet. So there's an interval after that. When the last big bottle's empty and the dawn keeps staying cold, and the last man is folded and the last campfire is told, when they talked out down the footpath in a brave unbroken line, to the peril of the plazas with the tune of all my sight, you can tell the folks at breakfast as they watch the fearsome sight. They've only of Scotland. That sounds great. We're officially into the interval where you can come up and buy
Right then. This is The Comfort of the Hills, fabulous poem which Ian has set to music. I have been singing it to a different tune for the past 3 years, but hey, no, I've tried to learn the new Ian, so...
That's why we left it off the inside of the cover.
Aye. It was a cunning plan to see who was paying attention. So, if you want to hear it sung properly, you'll have to buy a CD. That was alright, wasn't it?
Not bad, but
but for the ones that haven't, Christmas is coming. We're getting 2 extra songs for nothing. What's wrong with it? Right, sorry. It is a really nice poem. When Irene spears it. But anyway. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills. Lay it where the sunshine cups of colour spills. Hide it in the shadow of the folding fern. Bathe it in the coolness of the brown hill burn. Give it to the west wind, blowing where it will. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills, where pity crowns the silence and love the loneliness fills. Bury it in the bracken, waving green and high. Out it let the heather's peaceful purple lie. Trusted to the healing heaven itself distills. Heart, if you've a sorrow, take it to the hills.
Yeah, lovely, The walls of wild Northumberland that skirt the Roman wall, the towering hills of Cumberland that call and call and call, the worries of that cheat, the weathered slopes of Crete, and the grassy halls of ticket tanned, the silver bends of Tweed, spell o' Yarrow's mystery, the charm of Eddrake's Glen, the peel towers with their history of old and upward men. This country to the core of it is dead and doubly dear, and the legend and the laurel web, the raider and the spear. Let others love the laziness of gentle southern rills, while me the tumble craziness of brown burns from the hills. The scattered homesteads feature then, the shepherds caught back long, and the strong men and the speech of them, the lilting border tongue, the strong men and the speech of them, the lilting border tongue.
a poem about a horse. The futility of war and thousands of horses killed in the First World War, and here we are. And it's called the Offside Leader. This is the wish, as he told it to me, of Driver Macpherson of Battery B. I want no praise nor ribbons to wear. I've done my bit and I've done my share of filth and fighting and blood and tears and doubt and death in the last 4 years. My team and I were among the first, contemptible few when the war clouds burst. We sweated our gun through the dust and heat. We hauled her back in the big retreat, with weary horses and shorter shell, turning our backs on them. That was hell. That was at Mons, but we came back here, shining the horses and shells to spare. But much I'd suffered and much I'd seen, from Mons to Mons and the miles between. But I want no praise nor ribbons to wear. All I ask for my fighting share is this, that Britain will give to me my offside leader in Battery B. She was a round-ribbed, blaze-faced brown, shy as a country girl in town, scared of the gangway and scared of the quay, lathered in sweat at the sight of the sea, but brave as a lion and strong as a bull, with the mud at the hub and an uphill pool. She learned her job, as the best ones do, and we hadn't been over a week or two before she would stand like a rooted oak while the bullets whined and the shrapnel broke, and a mile of the ridges rocked in glee as the shells went over from Battery B. One by one our team went down, but the gods were good to the blaze-faced brown. We swayed with the battles back and forth, lugging the lumber south and north. Around us a world was red with flame as we gained or gave in the changing game. Forwards or backwards, losses or gains, there were empty saddles and idle chains. For death took some on the galloping track, and some were called from the bivouac, till at last were left but my mare and me, of all that went over with Battery B. My mates have gone and left me alone, their horses are heaps of ashes and bone. Of all that went over with courage and speed, there is left but a little brown mare in the lead. The little brown mare with a blaze in her face, that would die of shame at the slack in her trace, that would wheel the team to the least command, that would charge a house at the slap of my hand, that would turn from a shell to nuzzle my knee, the pride and the wonder of Battery B. If I, through it all, have been true to my task, I want no honours, this only I ask. The gift of one gunner, I know of a place where I'd leave a brown mare with a blaze on her face, mid low leafy lime trees and cocksfoot and clover, to dream with the dragonflies glistening over.
Keeping the horse theme going. The Southman shall keep the road that their children goes gay. The Shire will lean the cases load all through the longest day. But where the ploughman meets the heather and the elms guide abides, through the misty morning weather, stepping two together, all fire and better come the cries, all fire and better come the cries. Forgot to press that bloody arrow again, sorry. That's all part of the poem. The hunter gallops on the lee, the gallant treads the line, the hackney touching nose and knee, the hackney touching nose and knee will mark the road we ride. But the it says I'm going to go to TV there. I'm going to throw. These songs are all getting performed for the first time, so I might as well try one. This is one that was not on the programme. Let's have a little go. Which one? Let's see. Sorry, I'm not very good with this thing. But let's see. I want quite fancy this one because, quite frankly, this is the first one that I sent the lads when I wrote the music to it, and they didn't like it. So we thought this was not going to go well at all, and so we compromised a little bit. And I'm just trying to remember what it's called. My mother's stores it's called, and here it comes, and I'll do it the way they want.
Ian, just before you sing this song, this is an awful special song. In 1909, Will Ogilvie by that time was living in Bowden, and he had married a lady from Ettrick Shaws, and they had their first child, and it was a wee girl, and this was the poem that he wrote for her. And I think you'll find coming through, it's just all that love that you feel for your firstborn child. It's something that's very special, and that was why we were very touchy when he didn't compose the right tune. Well, now I have to say we're now happy with this compromise. Back to you, Mr.
I'm not sure I'm glad you said that, I know. But anyway, right, okay, let's see. I'm pressing the little arrow now, and hopefully it'll scroll at the right speed. If not, I'm going to have to flick it anyway. I hope you like it. I hope you like it. Snow white spirit flying free across God's vast eternity, boasting her little wings the best, when certain far beyond the rest, she left heaven's starry gates behind, and down the pathway of the wine, through on and found no fear, though earth itself grew dark and sudden those peerless wings and crown were netted in a mountain cloud, and lay there bound in silver tether, white bloom entangled in white feather, long time forsaken and forlorn, she struggled from her shoulders torn, the white wings quivered in the cloud, then all the sky with song grew loud. And child spirit pure as air came down to earth, our lady girl, and now we know when still she lies, with that sweet smile across her eyes, she sees her white wings in the cloud, and hears the gold harp harping loud, and when she stretches her pink hand, we know and understand. and keep her pure soul pure and white. That note might still that music stir, and know how keep her wings from her. Would we could guard her day and night, and keep her pure soul pure and white. That note might still that music stir, and know how keep her wings from her. So, let me see, where did I put these other ones? What we do now? Teviot. Yes, it's all organised, you know. Yes, absolutely. Teviot. Here it comes. Right, it's an F, okay. Nowhere branch of trees up on ahead. I do love all these songs. It's great to have been given the chance to write songs, not have to think about writing the words as well. It's great. And especially when you know there's such nice words. Great. Now I know how Elton John feels. Ogilvie, Ernie Taupin. Okay, so I hope you think this is a pretty little tune. I was happy with it. Nowhere branch the trees so bonny, nowhere grows the grass so green. Rise the banks so rich and sunny, run the road so white and green. As we're glad the mountain water truing from her heath-high hills, this the border's hoid and daughter, laughter through the lowlands still. Silver shines a sunlit shoulder, silver sounds a simple call. Here the challenge growing bolder, there the love, sorry, there the love word low it fall. None her wanton good may master, none her wayward foot may stay. Call her, she would glide the faster, chide the less she will obey. Love goes swallows to lover, kissing, clinging, rest away. All the wildflowers lean to love her, every white bending sway. But she stays for flower nor swallow, longing bush nor lonely tree. Mocking, come then, come and follow, I am his true master's way. So with only laughter laden, never caught yet, often called, teeming sweets, blue-eyed maiden, clean, shameless, cutlass, unenthralled. Glad and glad with mountain water, gathered where the pink heat grows, she, the border's hoided daughter, waving through the lowland roads. She, the border's hoided daughter, waving through the lowland roads.
This is one of my favourite wee Ogilvie poems. The whop of the curlew, a bird whose numbers reduced rapidly for many years, but thankfully I'm told are again on the increase, particularly on managed moorlands. The whop. This is the lark of the hilltops. This is the mountain swallow. This is the carrier pigeon of the joy and grief of the moor. There is no wind of heaven, no wind that he will not follow, no height that he dare not climb on his brown wings, wide and sure. All day in the silence he cries to the moorland places. All day to the grey stone dykes and the peat hags and the moss. All day to the red grouse feeding, to the hares and the shy blackfaces dotting the darkened glen where the slow ghost shadows crossed. He keeps no tryst in the meadow, he keeps the plough to the plover. His song is not for the village or the trodden roads of the vale, but wheeling above the bracken, he has world o'er words to discover and wed to witching music and weave in a haunting wail. Go, climb from the oat fields upward and wait by the moorland wall, just where the last plough faltered, and there where the first heath flames, you'll hear him, priest of the purple, out of the past, recall memories, born of the silence and dim forgotten names.
Don't worry, it's empty. Now.
So this poem is called On Cheviot's Shoulder. Up here where the winding sheep tracks go by the knoll and the naked boulder, the old hill's blade of the winter snow has slipped from his wind-swept shoulder. The clouds are scattered, the sun rides through, all earth is splendour gilding. The loch is lit with a lighter blue, and the swan in the reeds is building. A lark is singing in love's old way, with his heart and his wings a quiver. He knows the worth of a morning May, and the song to sing to the giver. Down in the valley, a silver thread, tweed to the sea runs slowly, and round him an old romance is spread, like a presence hushed and holy. And here where the kingdoms march and meet, and Cheviot stands as warder, witching and sweet lies under our feet, all the matchless pride of the border. Not a foot of ground in this grey romance, morass, not a space in yon stretch of heather, but has heard the hooves of the horses pass as the reavers rode together. Not a silent glen in this range's shade, but has rung to the boast of battle, but has heard the sob of a southern maid and the lowing of English cattle. But peace lies over this still May morn, like the mist on the Beaumont line, and strife has fled to the silence born, like a gull to the Solway flying.
Here's an extra one again. This is called The Raiders, and I know this is pretty much one of Ogilvie's most famous, and I think a few people have had a go at putting a tunes in already, but I hadn't heard them, so this is the one I did. If it's anything like the others, I have no idea, so hopefully you like it anyway. I'll press the arrow, it will scroll. Oh no, it won't. Hang on, I better give it time to scroll. Right, let's try it. Yes. Last night a wind from Lammermoor came roaring up the glen, with the tramp of trooping horses and the laugh of reckless men, and struck a mere hand on the gate and cried in revelry, come forth my border, and ride the march with me. Well, And where the to the song, which is the whole name of the album. So I think that should probably take a wee bit of introduction from yourself, maybe. Right, okay. We're going to finish the night with one of Ogilvie's most famous songs, The Land We Love. Now, to say that I think this is a good tune that Ian has produced for this would be a slight understatement. And what he has done, and it's not sacrilege, believe me, he has just altered the words of this so that there's a 4-line chorus in it, and the chorus is there printed in your programme, and we really want, of course we can see it, and we really want to raise the rafters when Ian leads us in this song. But basically, this particular Ogilvie poem, above every other one, epitomises what it is about the border. And I can say this as somebody who is not a borderer, but has come to learn over the last, few years here and there, just what it is that makes people tick. And it is that feeling about this land that we love so well. So think of that when Ian leads us in this song, The Land We Love. Can I just try and let you hear the tune that we're going to sing it to? And then it goes, there's a spell in this land of the marches, and this border that gives our birth, in this spot where the heavens white arches spread blue o'er the best of the earth. Try again, please. There's a spell in this land of the marches, and this border that gives our birth, in this spot where the heavens white arches spread blue o'er the best of the earth. Oh, it seems to work. Thank you very much. If you want to put any harmonies in or anything, please feel free. Oh, I'll press my wee R, there we go. Just a line of blue hills to remember, just a valley one face to forget, whether bound with the gold of September or the jewels of midsummer set. Just a fringe of down-looking coppice, just a ribbon of river in the streets, or a hand to the cornfields whose poppies burn soft as a rose in a tree. Here we go. There's a spell in this land of the marshes, and this border that gives our love, and this spot where the heavens white arches spread blue o'er the best of the earth. Just a sweep of marsh blowing in the curve, just a breeze where the blind faces play, just a walk where the seagulls foregather, and the bombs out sheeny and shine, just a glen where the wild duck and pheasants find a sheltering nook from the blind, just a peel tower that stoops to the peasants with the legend and lore of the man. shrine where our housekeeping's hungry, wherever our feet may be laid place, all our love on that altar lies burning, all our song beats around our spread. There's a spell in this land over marches, in this border that gave us our love, in this world where the heavens wide arches, spread all the best of it. One of you let me tell. There's a spell in this land over marches, and this border that gave us our birth, in this world where the heavens wide arches, spread blue o'er the best of it. One more to finish the night. There's a spell in this land over marches, and this border that gave us our birth, in this world where the heavens wide arches, spread blue o'er the best of it. Spread blue o'er the best of it.
There's a spell in this land of the marches, in this border that gave us our birth, in this spot where the heavens wide arches spread blue o'er the best of the earth. There's a shrine where our hearts keep returning, wherever our feet may be led. All our love on this altar lies burning, all our song wreaths around it are spread.
Right, there you are, ladies and gentlemen, the power of the written word. Whether it's spoken by Davy or Ronnie, whether it's sung and accompanied by Kathy, whether it's sung by Ian with his guitar and all the other things, the power of the word is there and it communicates to us. And isn't it marvellous that I've probably told you this story before, but I just love it. I used to recite Ogilvie poems in my history classroom in Kelso High School, and it was the Raiders, the song that Ian sang there. And you know, reciting that to a class of second year, mostly boys, you know, hated poetry, couldn't stand it. And you would tell the story, and this wee fella, after I'd finished it, he says, "Hey, Mr. Robertson, see where it mentions the kale in that poem?" And I said, "Yes." He says, "Is that the kale that flows through Moorball?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Oh, well, that's a good poem." And the message had got through. And if you think of what we've heard tonight, you've had the Teviot, you've had the Eildons, you've had the Bowman, you've had them all, because the poems are local. They're about here, and they are about the borders. And that's what we have to celebrate. And what we've seen tonight, oh wait a minute, I'll need to arrow up for another wee space. I couldn't resist that. You know, there's great benefits in writing things down sometimes.
Getting the belt tonight.
I couldn't resist it. But what we've heard tonight, really, is another vehicle. Another way that the words of this poet, these beautiful poems, can be passed on to other people, because it can be done by being sung instead of just being recited. And we hope that that will prove very, very positive. This afternoon we were up at Holefield, because today, and the reason we're holding this today, is the 153rd anniversary of Will Ogilvie's birth. And we had a lovely ceremony in the sunshine there where Ian sang, and there were recitations as well. And what was most poignant for me was that the poet's granddaughter, Rosemary Jeffreys, was there to lay a wreath of flowers on Ogilvie's stone. And what made it even more poignant was that the other person who laid a wreath was the Kelso Laddie. So there was the youth of the town coming along to pay their tribute to the poet. And I think that gives us some hope for the future. But just to sum up tonight, I mean, I do, on behalf of Well Road Productions, have to say a few words of thanks here. Thank you to this great hall, this great venue. I don't think I have ever been at a bad night in Eckford Village Hall. It's a place that's just got a very special atmosphere, and the atmosphere has been on the show tonight. And all the others from the hall committee and who've done all the wee things and all the wee touches just to make the place look well, too numerous to mention, but can I just say that we recognise you were there. To Christine Grant and Penny Fleming, who saw to our interval snacks, we want to pay tribute to that. And to Chris, who laid out the flowers to prepare the wee bouquets on each table. That's what I'm talking about, the wee touches that just make things special. To Kathy Hobkirk, who came along and just showed the power of the unaccompanied voice. And I noticed the audience. You could have heard a pin drop in Crayling while Kathy was singing. That required attention, and it's simply beautiful. And that is another way, another vehicle to pass on the words of the poets. To our usual performers, to Ronnie and Davy, their skill in reciting poetry is something that has made all the work we've done with Well Road Productions so very special, because all the things that we did wrong, and every time our technology played up and didn't work and this, that and the next thing, and sailing over the top of that was the sheer professionalism of these people who could deliver these memorable lines so beautifully. And then, of course, we have to recognise this man, Mr. Bruce. He's not a borderer, and it's taken quite a while to kind of educate him into the ways of the borders, and to educate him about the places that he's been singing about, and about the attitudes. And gradually, I've begun to see him beginning to warm to this and to understand it. And I think he would admit himself, going out to Holefield this afternoon now, you know, for a Glasgow fella, that was seriously back a beyond, you know. The sheep bite out there, you know, that kind of situation. Going out to Holefield and seeing the Kelso Laddie and seeing Ogilvie's granddaughter being there, that was a major educational experience, and I think he thoroughly enjoyed it. But the hours that Ian has put into composing the tunes, as he said himself, we had some extensive discussions about some of them, but the finished product is just, I think, quite magnificent in terms of Ogilvie. The hours that Ian put into that, and the talent and the skill, make it very special. And also to be able to come down and sing these songs, as he's going to be doing not just in Eckford, but on his tours from now on. He will be including Ogilvie songs. And if we had a name as Well Road Productions, it was to spread the word about this poet. What better way to do it than this man as he tours throughout Europe singing Ogilvie songs. So, Ian, many thanks. Our tributes to you. So, and finally to yourselves as an audience, your loyalty we so appreciate. You know, 2 or 3 phone calls and we can generate a crowd. It's marvellous that we can do that, and we hope we can continue to do that. But tonight, you did something very special. In the song Ian was singing just before the interval, he was saying, you've only been assisting at a wee Scotch night. Well, you tonight have been assisting at the launch of a CD, and that doesn't happen in Eckford very often, believe me. So, well done, and many thanks.